For years, Pokemon fans just wanted the same thing. Not another gimmick, not another rush experiment, and not a game that almost gets it right. Just a proper competitive Pokemon game. A place where battling can finally just stand on its own. No grinding, no unnecessary story modes, and not wasting hours just to make one usable team. Just Pokemon battling, done right. And when Pokemon Champion was announced, that's exactly what people thought this game was gonna be. A clean, official, long-time battling platform. Something that can finally become the true home of competitive Pokemon. And now, to be fair, this idea is really exciting. The problem is, the more that people look at Pokemon Champions, the more the hype turns into hesitation. Hello, my name is Denzel, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Pokemon Champions and how some people aren't sure this game is going to be successful. Now, I want to make a quick announcement before I start this video, and I just want to say thank you guys for 300 subscribers and like 1.4k views on my last video. This just shows that like people actually like the things that I make, and you guys just supporting me in the comment section, even for the guys hating on me. I appreciate that very much. Thank you guys for like investing in me so early, and I promise I will continue to keep making quality content. And if I'm at 1,000 or 200,000 subscribers, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna still push for good quality content. Now, let's get on with the video. Not because the game looks terrible, but because something like this is very important for Pokemon's future. And honestly, it feels like it already has a lot to prove. And when your official Pokemon product is getting compared to Pokemon Showdown, that's honestly a big red flag. That's not really a great start. To understand the disappointment that many people had with this game, you need to understand why people were so interested in this game to begin with. Because competitive Pokemon has always been in this weird position. The actual battling is great, it's strategic, it's deep, it's fun to watch. And for people who really get into Pokemon battling, they say it's the best part about the franchise. But the thing is, getting into competitive Pokemon is such a pain, bro. Cause like other competitive games, you can get into it pretty quickly, but for competitive Pokemon, there's like so much extra layers into it. You got EVs, IVs, natures, abilities, and meta knowledge. And I know I probably forgot a couple, but those are just a couple I can name like off the top of my head. If you played this game for years, that's normal to you. Like, okay, EVs, IVs, like it doesn't matter. Like, I played this game for years. But as a new player who is trying to get into competitive Pokemon, that may give them the ick and be like, you know what, why should I try this? What do you mean if I make my Pokemon a certain nature, it's gonna be weaker or stronger? It feels like a task when people just want to get into like competitive battling, just battle out with their favorite Pokemon. So when they finally announced that Pokemon Champions was coming out, everyone was really excited because it was genuinely just a very smart move. Pokemon Champions was supposed to fix all the long-term issues that affect Pokemon competitive battling. I just want to make it clear, this game still has that potential. This game has only been out for a week at the time of making this video. Don't get me wrong, people have the right to be upset, but let's just give this game a chance to cook, you know? If you ask anyone if they think Pokemon Champion was a bad idea, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say, no, it's not a bad idea. And honestly, they might think that it's one of the best ideas that Pokemon has had in the wild. And this is where Pokemon Showdown becomes a big part of this conversation. Pokemon Showdown. If you like it or not, Showdown is literally what a bunch of competitive players use. It's fast, it's simple, and it lets you build teams instantly. But most importantly, it removes all the annoying parts that gets in the way. You can just hop in and battle. And that's why it's so popular. Not because it's flashy, but because it gives the people actually what they want. And that creates a really weird challenge for Pokemon Champions. Because the official battling platform of a popular franchise shouldn't just be good. It should honestly feel like a clear upgrade from what people already have. That's where most of the hesitation is coming from. Because you see this, in a bunch of Pokemon Champions posts, you will always see people talking about, well, Pokemon Stadium does the same thing but better. You're always gonna find those people regardless, but like, it just comes into play, and it honestly just like opens your eyes even more that people think right now that a non-official Pokemon game is currently cooking an official Pokemon game. It's crazy. It's crazy because a lot of players aren't saying that Pokemon Champions is necessarily awful. They're just asking one fair question. What is this giving me that Pokemon Showdown isn't? And if the answer to that question isn't obvious right away, then the game will naturally face more scrutiny. And that doesn't mean that Pokemon Champions can't win people over. It just means the expectations were a little bit higher for this Pokemon spinoff. The biggest concern right now is that Pokemon Champions doesn't look broken. It's that it might feel too limited. And that's where a lot of disappointments come from. Because we make a game that's entirely focused on Pokemon battles, people naturally feel like it's going to be the ultimate Pokemon battling simulator. So when players heard about some of the restrictions and some of the missing features, this quite literally changed the mood around this game. Hot take, but I kind of agree with the fact that they do not have all of the Pokemon in the game. I think it's a good decision because here's the thing. When they add a new Pokemon, the meta will change completely. So it's always going to feel fresh. If we just dump all the Pokemon, if you just dump all of them in, one, new players are going to feel so overwhelmed because they're not going to know who to use. So like, if you have a select few Pokemon, that helps new players discover which Pokemon they like and what teams work and which teams don't. So yes, I understand that your favorite Pokemon might not be in the game, but I think it benefits the game more that all of the Pokemon aren't there, and it seems like they're naturally going to be added over time, which I like. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. But I just think for the health of this game, I think it's great that they haven't added all the Pokemon yet. Okay, so there's like this one thing that I don't like, which I think they should most definitely change, is that for Pokemon Champions, if the timer runs out, usually the person like with the most Pokemon will win the game. But no, that doesn't happen. The game ends in a draw, regardless. And this also happens in competitive play. So if someone's gonna lose the game, or if they know they're gonna lose the game, they'll drag out that match so they don't lose any rank points, which I think that's completely stupid. I think they should change that, like for real. But look, a smaller starting point can make balancing even easier. A more focused roster can help new players. Once again, not every game has to be launched with every feature possible. That's all true. But at the same time, this is Pokemon, one of the biggest gaming franchises in the world. When something that sounds ambitious and big ends up feeling smaller than expected. And that's the real issue. Not that Pokemon Champions don't have real potential. The first impression hasn't felt nearly as exciting as it should be. And this is the one part that's important if we're gonna be fair. Because not everything that people are criticizing about this game is a bad thing. And in fact, some of these changes that Champions are making is something that Pokemon battling has needed for a long time. Making build teams easier, that's a good thing. Reducing pointless grinding, that's also a good thing. Trying to make competitive Pokemon less intimidating for new players. And that honestly might be one of the smartest things that Pokemon have done for years. The problem is, access alone doesn't guarantee long-term excitement for the game. Because if the game feels easier to enter, but not deep or complete enough to stick with, then a lot of players will simply won't commit. And that's the balance that Pokemon has to get right. And right now, people aren't just sure if Pokemon has that right now. At this point, the reaction to Pokemon Champions feels like more than Champion itself. For a lot of players, this comes down to trust, because fans have seen too many good ideas come with compromises, too many exciting announcements followed by caveats, too many games that felt like it's almost there, but not quite. Every time when Pokemon releases something new or reveals something new, players don't get excited. They become cautious. They've experienced things like this before. They'll get hyped up, then once the game actually comes out, they're disappointed. So it's like this unending cycle that needs to be broken with this game, which I think this game can do. And right now, a lot of players are just waiting for that click. The biggest problem with Pokemon Champions isn't that it looks terrible. It's because it's supposed to feel like an obvious win for the company. This was supposed to be the game They gave competitive battling its proper home that it always needed. The official version, the polished version, the version that made people feel like that Pokemon has finally caught up. And maybe, just maybe, that can still happen, because Champion still has a lot of potential. The idea behind it, it's strong. Some of the changes that they made, genuinely, it makes sense to me. Not all of it. I don't understand why they're taking away all the items. I don't like that. Other than that, some of those changes make sense. And if Pokemon supports this game the right way, it can still become something really valuable for the competitive scene. But right now, the confidence isn't fully there yet. And if the official future of competitive Pokemon is already having players say this one thing, I mean, Pokemon Showdown still does this kind of better. That's a tough place to start, but not impossible to recover from. But most definitely wasn't the first impression that Pokemon was hoping for. Now, this is the end of the video. If you guys have any opinions about this game, please drop them down in the comments. I don't care how big or small they are. I'll read them all. As you can see in my last video, I read all the comments. I liked most of them. If you guys have something to say, just say it in the comments. It's okay. We all love each other in this community. Now, make sure you guys subscribe. Until next time, and bye.